Now, a few of the other cast people that I have found. For the Edward Norton role, the two names that I saw kind of floated were Matt Damon and Sean Penn. Two wildly different, especially at that point in their career, also wildly different ages. So that would have been a very interesting kind of thing. The only other name I've seen considered for Tyler was Russell Crowe, which is like interesting.
And I had heard he was the original choice, and that the studio said, we want a bigger name because this is Russell Crowe. This is pre-Gladiator.
Yeah, this is like Quick and the Dead era.
Did
Russell
he even
Crowe.
do Virtuosity at the time? Do you remember that one?
I think it was I love Virtuosity. Hell yeah, it's him and Denzel. What's not to love? Yeah, I think this was around the Virtuosity era for Crowe. So it's like, all right, like I understand why he would have been on the short list.
That Virtuosity, Russell Crowe could actually, I could see that very much a Tyler Durden. I can see that performance too.
There's a lot of aspects of his character in Virtuosity that I could, isn't it like Sid? I think is his abbreviation.
Sid point something. Sid 6.0
it's
or something
it's
like
Sid
that. Yeah.
some number. So Marla had the most alternate castings that I have found. And I have a couple reasons why a few of them were next. So the first on the list was Janine Garofalo.
She came up again.
She came up again. She passed because the script made her uncomfortable.
No kidding.
Understandable. Reese Witherspoon.
Interesting point on Reese Witherspoon. It came down to her and Helena Bonham Carter, and the studio and Fincher were really fighting about it for a while. And the studio really wanted Reese Witherspoon until finally she just said, hey, I'm not going to do it. And so she took herself off the plate.
Hey, and that's the thing.
It was too dark for her, apparently.
And that's the thing. There are some actors where it's like, I always appreciate when an actor can look at it and go, the studio might really want me for this. This is not a good fit for me. And especially after a movie comes out, they can look back and go, yeah, I was not a good pick for like Nick Cage and Shrek. So they wanted Winona Ryder, which is like, all right, I could see.
I could see that, yeah.
This one is wild, mostly for the reason of kind of why they didn't go with it. Courtney Love.
Yep.
But apparently she was dating Edward Norton at the time. So that would have made it a little complicated to potentially do all this stuff with. And another name that I saw floated that I always thought was fun was Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That's an interesting choice.
Yes. And apparently as they were doing the interview, to kind of see if she wanted to work on the picture, she had absolutely no idea who David Fincher was. And he says, like, to this day, like that was kind of one of the more crushing of like, oh man, like I like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like she hadn't like nothing with Seven, nothing like any of the things he had done up until that. She was like, yeah, like I have no idea who this. And he was like, oh man, like he kind of bummed him out a little bit. But yes, they went with Helena Bonham Carter, which like I think she's a good fit for that part.